Cheers! Welcome to Movie Bitches, episode 186. Tonight we're reviewing Every Day.
What about us?
First things first, shout out to our wine sponsor, Wink, trywink.com/moviebitches. You get $20 off your first month of wine. I really mumbled that one through.
I mean, they know what you're saying.
They know what's up. Thanks to our Patreon subscribers. Thanks for subscribing. Thanks for sharing. Thanks for being great. All that stuff. So... Every Day.
The latest Nicholas Sparks ripoff.
/ like teen YA romance.
Yeah.
This one I was more excited for.
Well, it seems more absurd.
Yeah.
And over the top. So basically, Every Day is based on a book.
Yeah.
About a girl who falls in love with...
A soul.
A soul that every day wakes up in a new body.
Yep.
And has control of the body. And this has been, spoiler alert, happening his whole life.
Their whole life?
Their whole life. We were speculating like how this could have been.
Yeah.
At a certain point we're like, oh, so he's defo in a coma and like was in some texting and driving accident and it's gonna turn into a PSA and she's gonna find him at the hospital and then he's gonna wake from his coma and they could be together. It wasn't that.
Nope. I don't think anyone's in this movie.
Maria Bello plays her mom.
Sure.
The main girl,
mm-hmm.
who looks like little baby Michelle Williams, I thought was actually good.
She was pretty good.
She is the little girl from Nice Guys.
Oh, shit. Wow, she grew up quick.
Well, she's like 17 in real life.
Yeah, they definitely kid actors.
And I was good. I was glad.
Yeah.
Because it was more realistic.
Yes.
But also, a lot of them couldn't act.
Yes.
But she could. I feel like this movie wasn't atrocious because of her.
I agree.
Because she really sold it.
I didn't think this movie was terrible.
No.
I'd say spoiler alert, go see it, but the really realistic thing is that we saw it on the last possible day for anyone to see it.
I don't know if you could watch it.
You could.
I don't know if you need to.
Not especially.
But it was definitely, like, so we got there 2 minutes late, and I thought we had missed a half an hour.
Sure.
It seemed like, wait, what?
But
We're not getting any explanation for what's happening, what's going on, nothing. And it turns out, no, we didn't miss anything. We looked it up.
So here's the thing that I want to talk about. Basically, yeah. I would have done the intro differently. I would have done two things differently. One, I think they should have been a little older. Like a sophomore in college.
I would have been more into it if they were college age, because then they have slightly more freedom. There's
agency.
Slightly less, there's more agency. There's slightly less, like, using teenagers' bodies inappropriately for, you know, just like gray or blurry
like
lines.
Weird, yeah.
Of like, and like more parents being concerned about, where are you taking my son?
Yes.
Are you kidnapping him? Oh no, we're just in love. I'm in love with his soul. His soul's in your son's bot. Sorry, we ruined your vacation. You can't go to Honolulu now because it's a long story.
Michael, we are gonna miss our flight. My family's supposed to fly to Honolulu today. If I go, tomorrow I wake up as a kid who's not flying back here.
Yeah.
Where if it was college, it would be like they could run around together and it wouldn't,
really matter.
Have affected as many people.
Yeah. Also, I would have had it start through the perspective of the soul. This movie starts and she's texting her boyfriend who doesn't respond. And then she wakes up and there's still no response. And she gets to school and it's like, hey, and he's different today.
Oh, he's actually nice and paying attention to her? Oh my god.
Should we play hooky and like, but instead it's like they like go and have like a lovely day and go to the beach and do all the stuff.
Go to the aquarium.
And they like talk and he sees her.
The whole time you see.
Well, we already knew because of the trailers and everything else.
I either would have started with the soul or had a day in her life where her boyfriend's a jerk. We see him as he really is.
Maybe they did. And then she texted him and didn't hear back.
Maybe we missed it. But if it did in fact start this way, good on you. But it would have helped to have had context.
Yes, I would have preferred even more so though if we were from the perspective of the soul. Mm-hmm. The first scene is the soul in her body.
Whose body?
The main characters, the girls.
Oh.
The soul is in her body.
That makes more narrative sense.
He their minds melt. Exactly.
On the first day, he falls in love with her.
Not being her necessarily. Like, it's not like
it.
Yes. A falls in love with her because
they're soulmates.
Exactly.
He gets to be in her body. It's a little weird.
But sure, but at least it's like, oh, okay, I see you because now I know everything about you.
That's why it's different this time.
Exactly.
Instead of, oh, I was in your boyfriend's body and then we kissed and you thought it was your boyfriend and it's kind of weird. It's a little weird.
It's a little weird.
I like that.
Right?
And that starts the catalyst of it.
Exactly. That's why it's like, wait, this person is different than all of the thousands of other people that I've been inside, which is weird, whatever. Just move it along.
It's the plot.
Yeah.
You just gotta accept it. I like that.
Yeah,
I like
and then it's like, oh, I want to be with you or whatever, and then
right.
it's like this
so
whole
he keeps
weird...
trying to find her. Also, if it was more from the soul's perspective, which is a harder story to tell, obviously, because it's
But you could do VO.
Absolutely. I mean, it could be like The Host, the Stephenie Meyer, but like the book, because the book is actually really good, and the movie is not. It's not good. But in the book, it's easier to do in a book, and maybe this is how the book is, but it's a lot easier to like have a voiceover that you can tell who it is based on just reading the voiceover.
Sure.
Like, you don't need to be like, Soul A says,
right.
Like the personality comes through.
Well, and also there's not an actual voice. I mean, there's like a voice in terms of speaking, but there's not like a audible voice, because then it's like, well, who do you pick?
Right.
In a movie with a voiceover of a soul that changes person every day, that's harder to do.
But I would have liked more of if it's from the soul's perspective, then the soul is searching for her, can't find her, loses her. There's a book by the lady who wrote Sisterhood of the Traveling Pants called something.
Okay.
Which is the similar story where it's like he remembers all his past lives and always sort of because of fate or whatever finds the same soul, the same person. But she doesn't remember because that's not whatever. He's got the special gift. And so the whole book is him trying to find her through different past lives.
That's really sweet.
Really good. And it didn't do well, and she's not writing sequels, and I'm super bummed about it.
Aww.
I'm like, no, because it's like so set up for a trilogy, and you're like, I'm loving that. Oh no.
I mean, I didn't hate this movie.
I didn't hate this movie. I just think it could have been more focused.
A little bit.
Because it seemed sort of like, oh, it's a music video.
Well, and then it started to really drag.
And
then they had this little date and this body, and it's like, oh, and then they did this thing together, and it's like, okay.
Like it kind of turned into like Crazy a little, where it's just like, now we're just in a music video on a montage date.
Yep.
All right, well,
okay.
It's less exciting,
I guess I would have liked a little bit more resolution about them, but at the same time, I liked that it was kind of just like, spoiler alert, that they were like, okay, look, we can't.
This isn't gonna work.
Yeah.
I would have liked, would have really put a button on it and been great. So, because they fall in love, and they keep finding each other, and she keeps fucking all of the people that he becomes.
Yeah. Gotta be careful with those STDs.
That's what I was thinking. I was like, you don't know where that.
I mean, I don't actually know if they had sex.
She had sex with that one kid that didn't go to Honolulu, for sure.
Now, does that kid remember that then?
I don't know. Did she?
What if he was a virgin?
Did she deflower him? I don't know. But anyway, the soul realizes that they can stay in the same body if they really try.
It starts because, they have like a conversation about it. And it's like, oh, well, it feels like I'm being pushed out every night or whatever. Right.
Which is gross.
A little bit.
Which is like, oh, they're trying to take their body back.
Yeah, it's like, ooh, this is disturbing. This is like Get Out, but like...
This is like Pod Person, like Invasion of the Body Snatchers. Like, no, what are you doing? They have a conversation about like what it would really be like if they really tried to make this work.
Sure.
And how lonely
this was a pretty good monologue.
I was into this. If she really spent her whole life just waiting for him to show up in each body, that would be so lonely for her. And what child, if she got pregnant, would it just be some rando's baby that you happen to sleep with that body, but it wouldn't be my baby? And all these conversations.
Or would it be my baby, and then that child would just be like me and just keep waking up in someone else's body, and you never know your own child. And
so that was like a really good conversation. I was into that. And so that they decide they can't be together, and it's just not going to work, and the soul is going to fall on the sword and just go on and maybe try and do good things, but whatever. Had they done a little montage at the end of like, they stayed in touch. She was still his friend. She was still a presence in his life.
Yes.
She was still a person he could talk to.
Yeah. Yeah, if they still chatted or whatever, like they were best friends, pen pals.
And whatever. And so they kind of leave it open. Like
they leave it open because it ends on the Instagram page of A.
They say like, oh, we could meet again, and they leave it open. But I would have been okay with another montage of like their pen paling or something. That might have been.
Yeah.
It definitely you haven't seen It Follows, that horror movie. It definitely follows. It Follows is basically this horror movie where It's like an allegory for STDs.
Oh gosh.
Where the thing, whatever it is, the evil force, the thing, if you have sex with somebody that has it, then it transfers to you. And it's like this thing that sort of just is a person that follows you. And if they get you, you don't know, because you keep trying to get away from them, but they... So then you have the choice of either sleeping with someone and passing it on and being like, sorry, bye y'all, fuck. Or dying, or keeping it, or whatever. So it's kind of had that vibe of like, It Follows, but a rom-com? Like, kind of.
So then, like, maybe you just have to, like, sleep with someone really old and be like, well, you're about to die,
Sorry.
so this is the way to make it end.
That just went to a real dark place.
I mean, you don't want to, like, either you have to commit suicide. It
was a thought-provoking horror film. Because you're like, and if it, oh no.
Well, that was the problem for me with this movie, was that I just kept being like, it was a little too light where it's like.
That's the point, it's supposed to be a light rom-com, but you keep thinking about, and it wasn't deep enough.
No.
Where maybe the book is a little deeper.
But she keeps asking, like, where did you come from? Like, where, whatever. And then that got weird for me, where it was like, well, I have all of these memories growing up. I always thought it was just, like, a thing that happened recently. It seemed like it was, like, it happened this year, or whatever.
Right.
But it's like, no, this is something that's been going on for 16 years.
Yeah, they were born this way.
Which is weird.
Well, it's weird because it's never explained.
Exactly.
It's not like, I was an alien.
There's a soul that just floats between bodies every day.
Maybe it's the host. No, well, you know what it really is? What? It's a prequel to Quantum Leap. She's trying to put right what once went wrong and hoping that each leap will be the leap home.
Oh my god.
I mean, it was totally Quantum Leap. Like, I can't, I have to change things for the better. And, like, I can't sleep with, like, do bad things to these bodies. I have to really be responsible and all these things. But you didn't have Al to tell him, like, this is what you need to do to fix everything. Well, at some point, they decide they're going to have a little vacation away and go to the cabin. This, again, if they were college students.
Yep.
Great.
Yep.
Love it.
Yep.
The whole time I could be like, you're just ditching class, you're not around, you're sneaking off, like, this would be a problem. Like, you would be having repercussions more than what's happening.
Well, that's the other thing about college is that, like, there's class schedules, but you don't have class all day.
All day, every day.
Exactly. It's like, I'm free in 2 hours or whatever.
It so should have been in college.
Yeah.
No, one of the other things, so they go away to this cabin, and he's sort of this cute for 17-year-old boy.
Yeah.
Pickup, driving, whatever. And she like kisses him real good, and he's like, did you kiss me like this just because I look like this? And she's like, no, 10%. Mostly because it's you, but yeah. And because when they were kissing, I'm like, that's just because it looked like that. But
exactly. And then she said it.
Movie.
And it's like, I liked that it was nice and reassuring when those moments happen, because you're like, oh, okay, you get it too. Like, this movie is... like, it realizes what's going on. But the gay kid was fun. Now, do we think that he's actually gay?
The gay?
Nathan?
Oh, no.
The devil kid? So this turns into a whole thing. He was, like, really religious, I guess?
I couldn't decide. So he goes into the body of this young man and goes to a party and pretends to be someone's cousin so he can hang out with her. And he says, I'm his gay cousin. In the context of the scene, it was because he didn't want her boyfriend to beat him up.
Yes.
But also, was there an underlying, like, when the soul is in you, sort of your true nature comes out, and he's this repressed religious person, and maybe that's like, it was like a little indication. Yeah. And I was like, maybe?
Maybe?
I think so.
And that would have been nice?
I think that would have been nice if that scene had been ended on that note.
Well, particularly because...
instead of like, get out of here!
Well, certainly, right?
Satan's Instagram took over my body. Wow.
Yeah. And that would have been nice because that ties in then with, like, the leave a trace. Because, like, at first it's like, I don't like to leave a trace. I just kind of try and do as little damage as possible. But then it's like, why don't you pass... It becomes the message of, like, why don't you leave some wisdom or, like, help them...
Right. You're such a positive force. Why don't you pay it forward in that way?
Right. And so that could have been interesting. Exactly.
Yeah, if he had sort of realized it and been like, I never really let myself think about it before, but, I'm having...
thoughts now.
Feelings and thoughts.
Did the ghost devil make you gay?
Yeah, was he a ghost?
No.
Like a soul that couldn't pass on.
But like a cause
Like a
would have been
Casper
nice.
situation.
Yeah, like some sort of unfinished business or some sort of like limbo situation. Where did the soul come from? That's what I want to know. Was it from a body at some point?
You have no answers.
How old is it? Like,
There's no answers.
exactly. And I would have liked some answers.
Maybe if it had been framed more, I probably would have rolled my eyes, but if it had been framed more around the Instagram account,
Sure.
somehow started with it, told the story through that, it could have been more hip. Or less hip, probably.
Yeah.
In the long run. Probably.
Also, shouldn't the Instagram have just been like everyday 365 instead of A? Can we talk about the name A? This was stupid. So she like meets this guy. At this point, it's a guy in like a diner.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, well, this is James, but my name is A.
Yeah. And she's
I
like,
wanted a unique name. And
that
it's
no
like,
one else would have. And I was like, well, that's just a letter. Also, it's the most popular letter?
It's like the first letter.
The first one.
And so then it was weird too because it would be like, well, A, blah, 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 blah. And I kept waiting for them to be like, and B. Yeah.
I really like you.
Yeah.
I did start to wonder, like, oh, what if it went into an animal?
I mean, that would have been jumping the shark.
Would it?
Particularly if it was a shark, yes.
Woof, woof.
Nancy!
Rhiannon!
It's me!
Woof! Oh, Steven Seagal!
I believe in you!
Woo! And she's like, it's outside her window. It's like, woo! And she's like, hey, it's you. She keeps him in a cage, and then they can be together. She teaches it words because it's like a parrot or something, and they can talk.
Stop.
And she's like, just keep staying in that parrot.
Stop it.
Because, you know, I'm less, maybe it's wrong, but I'm less concerned about a parrot being shoved out of its soul than in person.
Sure.
How fucking good with
I'm telling you, they should have found someone like in a coma.
In a straight up parrot best friend situation.
Oh my God.
Yes. I don't think there's a solution unless it was his body or their body. Unless it was
Right.
the soul got in a car accident.
Yeah.
It's, you know, it's like just like heaven situations.
Yeah.
The soul
Yeah.
comes out and it's going from body to body because it can't find its body.
Sure.
And then it does.
Yep.
She puts it together and
Yeah, they figure out the clues.
she goes and looks at the microfilm at that library and figures out that,
Yep.
you know,
Yep.
he's from 1920. I don't know, something.
Yeah, some way that like the
I
memories
kept
come
waiting
back.
for something
Yeah.
to be explained, and it was not.
Uh-uh.
I did appreciate that she seemed very fluid and okay with it all.
Yeah, I liked that it was like, and I liked that they very subtly had like a conversation about gender identity that was just very simple and quick and fluid and, or, you know, whatever. It's just like, yeah, and that's that.
Yeah.
Some people's bodies don't identify with their minds, and they're like, let's move on.
Right. It was.
This is who I am today.
This is. Yeah, she says, "Oh, or do you consider yourself a boy or a girl?" And the soul goes, "Yes."
Yeah.
You know, and it was sort of an interesting conversation that the movie didn't really delve into, but it was just sort of there.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, there was a lot of sexualities represented. It was just very like open about it all. And
Yeah.
then when she's talking about, so she. Eventually, it starts to narrow down to, like, there's one boy at school who she's probably meant to be with, Alexander, and the soul goes into his body.
Oh yeah, it does.
And the soul realizes that Alexander is the perfect guy for
Yeah.
her. So Alexander, with the soul, is like explaining why. Oh, he's so
does this,
great.
and he
He's
does-
a guitar. He's so curious. He's shy. He knows about poetry. He's got platitudes all over. Oh, you'd love him. He's so great. He's fabulous. And then, like, out of nowhere, this gay guy just comes in and goes, "Who's this guy? If you don't want him, I do." What happened to that guy? He was great.
Right?
I wanted more of him.
I did too.
Who's this guy? I'll take him if you don't want him. Wouldn't it be cool if we changed it and the soul was really, really, really old and had been living centuries and was so alone, but in the age of social media, they could
That was something that I thought about.
connect with people on a different level, because that would be kind of an interesting...
And also that, like, this was basically, I mean, aside from like a lake house type magic mailbox situation, this was the only easy way to communicate.
Yeah, like, okay, imagine this exact same story occurring in the 1950s. It'd be impossible.
Yeah.
They'd be on landlines. I guess.
But how would, like, the soul could know her number and call, but then every day it would have to be something different.
Right.
And so that would be harder. Whereas with this, it's like, oh, and then I log into my Instagram account or I log into my, WhatsApp and I message her.
Right.
And it's easy peasy.
It was cute.
Yeah.
Enough.
Yes.
And short enough.
Yes.
And her performance is good.
I agree.
So you could watch it. It wasn't like, yes.
No, but you could totally open a bottle of wine and watch it on Netflix.
Or you
and
could
you'd be
just,
fine.
you could just go watch Quantum Leap too. That's a real cool solution too.
And hoping each time that his next leap will be the leap home.